Hi, welcome to Preps Plus Podcast, episode
26.
Brought to you by Sterling Auto Group. I'm Joshua Hart, sports editor here at the Daily News. I'm here with Jason Leskew, Preps reporter.
And first place finisher in high school football, Pigskin Profits.
But second to last in overall.
Yeah, we don't care about college. College football doesn't matter.
Hats off to the Kalama Chinooks football team for their state title. We've written and said everything there is to say about that team, but hats off to them. And that's our wrap-up on the football season. So we'll hop right into basketball. We'll try to give you a quick rundown of our thoughts. Just a heads up, the Preps Plus Basketball magazine this year comes out one day earlier than usual. It will come out on Christmas Eve instead of Christmas Day because we don't have a Monday paper. So make sure to be looking for that. So we're busy preparing for that and getting all the stuff together, but should be a good one. Bigger than ever, 64 pages, full of content, team previews, league previews, all of that good stuff. So we're really excited about it, and right now we'll just give you some thoughts that'll tide you over hopefully until that comes out. First off, Jason, I'll get your thoughts on maybe a couple boys teams that you are thinking highly of this year that have a good chance to do something.
Well, the two teams that I think are most intriguing are Kelso and Woodland boys. Those two boys teams are really, I think, I'll start with Woodland, and you know, as far as I think I'm expecting a ton from Palmer Dienhart this year, and I think he's going to be the team leader. Certainly not the vocal leader; he's just not a vocal person. But as far as the I'll show you and you can follow me type of leader, that's the guy I expect to pound the boards, lead the team in rebounds, probably lead the team in scoring and shooting percentage, because I expect a lot of his shots are going to be, at the post. And so, but so then it comes to, now we've seen Alex Bishop score in bunches. He's 6'3", lengthy, he can move real well. And so with those two playing the way they have in the first couple games, I really feel like, that Woodland might not see real competition in the GSHL 2A. There's going to be some close games, but I think in that league right now, they're the best team there. So then it becomes how much can they grow from this point in the season to the end of the season? Can they really improve? Can they continue to dominate, continue to get better, figure out where their deficiencies are and fix those? And then Kelso's in a similar boat, except I'm not sure. They have Riley Noah, and they have some different pieces, but I think they have in the GSHL 3A the most complete team, where you can't just double team one person and call it good, because they can hurt you in several different ways. But they also, to me, don't have a truly dominant player right now. I expect that to change by the end of the season. I think someone will stand out a little bit.
You could say Shaw Anderson.
Shaw Anderson, yeah, and he's someone who can make teams hurt. But I'm talking about a Kobe. Who's the Kobe on the team? Shaw Anderson's probably, if we had to pick one now, I think it would be him. But there's other weapons on that team that could be equally effective. That's just my take there.
I'll join you on the Kelso bandwagon. I really think, half of Prairie's roster is playing for LCC this year, so I think Kelso has a real shot to win that league finally. Emmett Kinch is a great point guard. Mm-hmm. You have Riley Noah, who's great on the wings, and you have Shaw Anderson, who's great in the post. And you have a lot of role players that Joe Kinch was really pleased with the other day, in being able to step up and contribute points where they can. Guys like Anders Gamble and Peyton Noah and Reese Tack are all going to be big contributors. I don't know how far they can advance in that bi-district. Remember, they were a game away from punching. They were a half-court heave away from punching a state ticket last year. That bi-district, though, is so awfully tough. So it will depend, but certainly one of the more complete teams in this region, for sure. As far as my other team, I have to go with Toledo. They have Reese Wallace back. Yeah, they lose Joe, but now they got Weston Wallace and Wallace. Whatever. There's always going to be a Wallace out in Toledo. But when you have a guy like Reese, who's maybe undersized, but is just so composed all the time, and then you have Weston Wallace and Junior Arroyo pounding the glass, and you have guys like Andreas Malinat who can hit threes, and Hayden Farbo. I think Toledo, has what it takes to make a deeper run than last year. Obviously, they made the state quarterfinals last year, but I really think they can make a significant run. I think Reese Wallace is going to be continue to grow as he's shown he can do the past couple of years. So those would be my two teams. I think Toledo could even challenge Adna and Napavine for that league title. Most coaches have picked them, atop the league. Adna and Napavine are always stiff competition. I think Toledo's right there with them. And so those would be my two teams. How about girls?
Owako. I think Owako stands, in my opinion, there's Owako and kind of everybody else. And that's something that especially in the 2B, if you look at the bracket last year and see what Davenport loses, what Kalama lost, what Wakayakum lost with Souvenir graduating. I mean, the 2B is Owako's to take, it seems like right now, and so there's Owako. That's the one team. If I'm going to pick one basketball team to win a state title, Owako's it. They have weapons around, and it's when you talk about trying to find a Kobe, it's like, okay, you can go Madeline Jacobson, you can go Mackenzie Keck, Eliza Bannister's super talented, and she's proven that she can score at any point in the game. The whole up and down 1 through 5, their starters, and then they have depth, so they can rest their starters, and you're not going to see against another team's. They can have their bench in against another team's group of starters and really not trail. They can keep up, and so there's them. And then the one team that I'd like to mention, Kelso's girls, real quick too. I think they're really on the same plane as the guys' team there, where they should be able to. I expect them to win the GSHL 3A, and then when you get to by districts, and it's like, okay, can they grow enough, and are they going to be shell shocked at that level of competition? And the team that is most intriguing to me is the RA Long girls. You got a certified scorer with Easton Reeves, new coach, but then you also have Bobby Clark, a 6-foot-tall freshman. And it's.
I think she had like 17.7, right?
Yeah, there you go. So it's like, is she just one thing I wonder initially, and you really need to see at least half a season to know, is can she play basketball, or is she just tall? It seems like she can play basketball, and to have a freshman at 6 feet tall that can play basketball on top of those, it's like, okay, and package that with Easton Reeves. So they should be pretty good, but time will tell, and I'm with them, kind of the wait and see. Will the team chemistry come together? Are they going to be their own worst enemy and turn the ball over? I don't expect that, but that can happen, and I've seen it plenty. So
I have to agree with you on Owako. This is a team that finally made its breakthrough last year. Not directly related to the RPI, but it certainly helped. They'd been knocked out in the regionals a couple rounds, and then they got a chance to get into that regional and not have to worry. You remember the top 8 teams, they were just playing for seeding basically at that point. And so, I do think Owako would have advanced either way, but that certainly got their feet under them. They were able to settle down a little bit, not have to stress about that, and then make their run. And they ended up finishing 5th, losing to Wakayakum in that 3rd place game. this is a team that made the state semifinals. They returned basically everybody. Mackenzie Keck and Madeline Jacobson are both, top level prospect type of deals. Like Keck, I would not be shocked to see go D1. Jacobson certainly has the talent to go D2. These are fantastic ball players. And then when you have the shooters that they do, like Abby McMullen and Eliza Bannister, I was shocked how many teams just continued to leave Eliza Bannister open. But at what point? At what point do you have to double Keck at some point?
Yeah.
So who do you not guard? So Ned Bittner's done a great job with that group. That their breakthrough was last year, and I think they're the favorites to win the state title this year. Just a really talented group out there on the coast, and I think they can do it. As far as another team, I really like the Mark Morris girls. So it sounds like Longview girls basketball might be pretty good this year. But they're in such a tough district. So last year, they didn't make state, but yet you looked at WF West and Black Hills. They were ranked number 1 and number 2 in RPI going into the state tournament. So there's 2 teams that are locked. Then you have Washougal, who brings back everybody this year pretty much, with Beyonce Bay and Mason Oberg and just so many talented players in Washougal. And Mark Morris is right there with Washougal. They've shown that the last 2 years that they're going to be very competitive with Washougal and compete for that GSHL title every year. And this is a very senior-laden group. I think almost their entire varsity roster is seniors. Sean Atkins is a great young coach. If any team's going to upset the pecking order out of the district, it'll be Mark Morris. Especially, guard play is so important in girls basketball, and there's no better point guard in the area than Madison Mosier. So those would be my picks. How about some players to watch?
All right. Well, we've hit on a couple known commodities: Jacobson, Keck, Bannister. I mentioned Bobby Clark and Easton Reeves. If we're sticking with the girls, shame on me. I don't have too many on my sheet here that I mentioned or that I've listed here. I think we've really kind of touched on. You mentioned Mosier. She's a known commodity, and I totally agree with you. She's an elite point guard in the 2A, and really I think that their success this year is kind of going to ride on her and how well she can play. But at the same time, when teams start doubling her up, which is going to happen, how she can respond and how the rest of the roster can respond, especially. So I'll let you.
Yeah, as far as the girls go, I mean, nothing's going to come close to last year's all-area team and how much talent there was there with Parker Essery and Kaylin Shipley and Peyton Souvenir and Mackenzie Keck and Madison Mosier. I mean, just a phenomenal group. But, there's some pieces back. So you have the Madison Mosiers of the world, Desi Hansen out at Rainier.
How did that slip my mind?
Who's a D1 player and probably the front runner for all area player of the year. She's a team that can carry a squad on her back, and I expect her to do so with the Columbians this year. And you mentioned Easton Reeves, and then you have Keck and Jacobson.
Shelby Blodgett.
Yes, so I was going to get to that.
Okay, yeah.
I was going to ask you who might be a breakout player, and so I'll let you jump right into Klatskanai freshman.
Shelby Blodgett is, I don't have this in front of me right now, 6 feet tall, correct? Is there 6'2"?
I think she's 5'8".
Oh, it's a 5'8". They have a 6'2" freshman, don't they?
They might, but I think Blodgett's only 5'8".
Okay. So shame on me for my foul preparation. Definitely dropped the ball. I have a list of guys, if it makes a difference. But, Shelby Blodgett has come out of the gate and been scoring like crazy. Seems like it's true to form with the Blodgett family. It's just going to come through Klatskanai with athlete out, or Rainier too, with athlete after athlete. And Shelby Blodgett follows in that line. She's someone I expect, and I think the Tigers really hope that she can really carry their team for the next 4 years. And she started with a have
33 points, 24 rebounds in her first game, and, and what was it, 24 and 14 the next night?
Yeah, so was it 48 rebounds in her first couple games?
Yeah, let's see, 23, 40-something rebounds in her first couple games and 60 points, something like that.
As a freshman, so, you know.
Yeah. A couple other, as far as the girls go, that I think could be a really breakout player. I just got back from Kalama Tootle Lake. Kalama's Ryan Bailey, a transfer from Tootle Lake, is just really a strong point guard. She's composed, she can dribble, she can attack the basket. Brennan Shipley would like her to be, a little more selfish. Just not distributing the ball as much. She likes to share the load and very complimentary of her teammates. But this is a player that can take over games and be interesting to see how she replaces the duo of Parker and Kaylin. So. That's certainly one, and you mentioned Shelby Blodgett. Another one to watch out on the coast is Erica Glenn. She had a big night her first night. That's a player that can make a big difference for Owako. And so those are definitely some players to watch. I think Alyssa Ewers coming back from a significant knee injury for Toledo. Her dad's not the coach anymore, but she should be a force for Toledo, out there. So as far as the girls go, there's certainly some candidates for you.
And Erica Glenn's brother is a pioneer in space exploration. If you didn't know, John Glenn. Of course, not the John Glenn, but yeah.
What about some boys?
So, I'll just start with the local guys. The Berger twins, Mark Morris, they graduate. Will Berghardt, have two brothers who are both seniors, 6'4", 6'5", and those two guys are really going to carry the roster this year. They're going to be carrying the team. I think a lot of the Monarchs' success is going to lie on their shoulders. So, the fact that they're twins and they've played with each other their entire lives, I think will really help. Those are two guys to watch. Jacob Childers, R.A. Long, multi-sport athlete, took a big step up last year as a catcher for the baseball team, and I think he's taken a big step up as a basketball player this year. They obviously also graduated Kobe Rothwell, so they're looking for someone to step up. They have a few different players, Connor Wallace, Tanner Ribniker, but early on, I think the one guy who stood out a lot, and this is not surprising, having spent a good bit of time with him during baseball season, is Childers is banging the boards, he's hitting tough shots, doing all the things you need to do as a basketball player, especially to alleviate some of the pressure on someone like Connor Wallace, who's going to be the focal point from another team's perspective, your opponent's perspective, coming in. Ryder Moss of Tootle, 6'2" freshman. Oh, that's who I was thinking. For a 6'2" freshman.
Yeah, his brother Ridge Moss.
Right. His brother's a big boy, but Ryder, I think, will dwarf Ridge in the next 5-6 years. Super athletic, those two guys are, and I think if I've seen a lot of when you have siblings, especially when one's a senior and one's a freshman, the freshman tends to come in with just 4 more years of good coaching, good having competed against their older sibling, and might have a fiery spirit, or a more fiery spirit, having had to play against someone who was just bigger than them or stronger than them, what have you. And then there's Parker Wood over in Kalama, another big guy, and I left out, that was the person I just realized I left in the girls, Nicole Guthrie of Woodland, who's a 6 foot tall sophomore. But that's my list.
All right. As far as the guys, we've already touched on a lot of them: Reese Wallace, Palmer Deinhardt, Shaw Anderson, Riley Noah. Those are all guys that are gonna be solid. The Bergers, a guy I think will really shine this year is Tyler Flanagan. He's been a starting point guard. Now this is his second year. He's kind of the sixth man his freshman year, and he's shown flashes of what he can do. He hasn't had to take over the offense really, from start to finish ever. This year they're getting out in space a little bit more. They're running a little bit quicker tempo, and that's much more suited to a guy like Tyler Flanagan. I don't think he's always going to be asked to score 20 points a night, but when he's not scoring 20 points a night, you'll probably see him have 10 or 11 assists. He's just that type of playmaker, and I really like what he can do, in transition for Woodland this year. I think that I was going to mention Shaw Anderson too as one of those guys who I really think is just going to be a star inside. He can pass, he can shoot, he can score. Just a really, really solid force for Kelso. I'll put you on the spot here, Jason. If you had to pick right now, who do you think would be All-Area Player of the Year, boys and a girl?
Girl, Mackenzie Keck. For multiple reasons. One, I expect them to win a state title, which usually helps bolster that resume for all area player of the year. And she's been a big part of their success. I mean, there's a lot of things you can point to, but she's the person that you give the ball and say, hey, go win us a game, go get us the points, those 2-3 points if we're trailing, or if we're going to go blow for blow, here's the ball, Mackenzie, go score. So she's my pick. For guys, this is tough.
Guys are tough.
Yeah. I'm going to say Tyler Berger.
Tyler Berger.
Yeah, I think so. For multiple reasons. I expect him to be the primary scorer. And that's going to, when you look at raw stats, it's going to stand out. He's big, so he's going to get some boards too. Mark Morris's roster isn't as good as it has been in other years, and I think we've said, it's probably been thought for the last, different times in the last 32 years that Bill Backmus has been the coach, but we've seen him take a really raw group or a group that may not have the best chemistry and help them finish strong. So I'm going with Berger, but I just flipped through about 6 names before I said that. So
for girls, I was going to go Keck, but I'll be different and go with Desi Hansen.
Okay, yeah.
This is a Rainier team that's going to lose half its roster and still probably win a league title because of Desi Hansen. Over at Roots, they're working on her killer instinct. She tends to want to share the ball, and this is a player that can put up a triple-double every night if she so chooses, or her team needs her to. I'll go with Desi Hansen, Portland State commit. As far as the boys, like you said, it's pretty tough. I'm a real big fan of Shaw Anderson. Okay. I just think he can do a lot. Especially, at that 3A level, he's not the biggest post out there. 6'3", 6'4". He's big, certainly, but, at that 3A level, there's so many big bruisers down there, and he's a guy who can, he reminds me a little bit of that, like, kind of European style forward, that can step out and operate from the high post and hit those shots, but has a real good passing game and real good eye inside, and can really take over a game if he needs to. So I'll go with Shaw Anderson out of Kelso. That should about do it for our Preps Plus podcast episode 26. We'll be back next week with probably some more basketball stuff. Hopefully some guests on. Maybe we'll predict league champions or something. I don't know. We'll figure it out. But thanks for listening. Thanks to Sterling Auto Group for sponsoring us again. And now we're gonna go take some phone calls.
Sterling.